to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, episode number 48. Hitting new highs in our streaming careers this week, experiencing and exploring new game modes, dropping into Iron Trials as a duo. It was a week of many different experiences, many of which we achieved incredible highs, but that's really how I felt. How was it for you this week in the Warzone 10-inch Cowboy?
Well, thank you for that, I guess you could say, introduction. I had a good time this week. Yeah, we back-to-back Fridays of streaming. Look at us. What are we, streamers all of a sudden? But a lot of Warzone, playing a lot of different types of Warzone, digging into different types of weapons, loadouts. What is suiting the gameplay style? What game mode? All kinds of new thoughts entering the Cowboy and probably Tron's mind this week. It was really fun. A lot of stuff probably to talk about this week. I'm imagining. Haven't looked at the outline of the show, but I'm feeling good. How was your week?
My week started a little rocky. Rough performances in the Warzone. Heard some mixed things about the new Haunting of Verdansk events, but I would say as the days went on, it really built up, culminating in our Friday stream, which was certainly a peak for me in terms of gameplay, but we will get into that a bit later. Let's, though, off the rip here, off the top of this episode, talk about the new, I guess it's just officially new, but essentially the bringing back of the Haunting of Verdansk, this time experiencing some pretty significant tweaks here. What were your initial thoughts here with the Haunting of Verdansk?
My initial thought was, is this the same thing as last year? And then quickly realizing, oh no, it's ghosts, not zombies. So very different in that regard, but pretty much exactly the same in that regard too. They basically just changed the avatar. You know, you have to collect 3 souls to come back once you die. I'm sure we're going to get all the specifics of all this, but it's very similar to the same mechanic. Zombies, you jump. Now you can teleport. The only thing I don't like about we're going to talk about this more as well, but the major difference is that zombies made sounds, footsteps, like growling, weird shit, so you could hear them when they were around. Now we got this stupid fear meter, and you can't hear the ghosts, and all this shit is just flying at your face all of the time, sometimes for absolutely no reason. So, a couple of very major differences, but all in all very similar. I like playing the ghosts. There's just some, like I said, really annoying moments to it that kind of probably it takes a backseat to the zombie situation. I like the zombies, I think, a little bit more than this. What about you?
Well, just recalling, I know it was a bit early into your Warzone career, but you were a huge fan of the zombies mode. Like, I think you even were mentioning it frequently in the early goings of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, even though it had been months since it had come. I remember vividly at one point I was teasing a new upcoming announcement about something in Warzone, and you were like, is it zombies? Are they bringing back zombies? So to hear kind of you now, a year later for the Haunting 2021, clearly like they haven't delivered that same level of enjoyment. I agree with you. I think it's fun. It's obviously a nice mix-up, but for those of the uninitiated out there that haven't experienced it, so it's no longer zombies anymore. Instead, when you die, you come back as a ghost, which they have special powers now tweaked. They have like the mega huge jump, which makes its return. And they have this weird like sonic blast type of thing. And then they have a weird teleport where you teleport a short amount of distance. You just basically disappear, then reappear short distance away. You have to collect 3 of the souls, they're calling them. Before it was those vials when you'd kill the zombies. Now it's these little soul icons. And the cool part, though, one cool addition is if you get an assassination as a ghost, you don't have to get 3 souls. That assassination soul sends you right back into the match. But they also added these new mechanics the Cowboy touched on, this fear meter, which, if you're idle, if you're camping, if you're not really engaging people, your fear meter starts to rise. As it escalates, you get these crazy on-screen like hallucination. At one point, I had a full screen cover up with like a makeshift blue screen, and it was as debilitating as you can get in the game, which that's a big turnoff for me. Like, what do you think they did right, and what do they do wrong?
Yeah, so I think you covered it. I think what they did right, the assassination situation, if you're a ghost assassinating somebody, a living soldier, automatic comeback, that's pretty cool. I really do like that. And also, I do really like, I mean, what maybe I shouldn't say that. What I don't like about the ghosts is that they're pretty much dead silent. They are not running around, they're floating. So you can't hear them. It's all visual until like you start feeling them on your fear meter, but like honestly, the fear meter I feel like is out of touch with reality cuz it starts going bonkers sometimes. And like you said, like your entire screen fills up with something you can't hear, you can't see, you're completely debilitated. And this can happen not just because of like during a ghost situation, but this happens when you're in like a regular gunfight, which is insanely frustrating if you get killed because you just for some reason can't see anything. So I really don't like that part of it. I think they could go away if they just eliminated the fear meter and eliminated the like random scary shit that happens on your screen, the pop-ups. This would go from like a 6 out of 10 to like an 8.5 out of 10, just like that. You know what I mean? That shit is like really weighing this down. I also don't like the teleporting feature of the ghost. I mean, I'm not good enough to, I think, use that, but I've had a couple of I've been assassinated while I'm a living soldier by ghosts where I had zero idea there was a ghost around me. My fear meter wasn't going crazy. I'm standing there like sniping or like moving around, like kind of in one spot, but kind of looking for somebody to kill, seeing, looking at the landscape and stuff, doing my little bunny hops and shit. And then all of a sudden I'm assassinated by a ghost. I had no fucking idea there was even a ghost near me. Like, you have to be doing circles and checking your back constantly. Like these, and that's something I wish you could hear the ghosts. There should be some kind of sound associated with them.
Clearly got haunted quite a bit by some dead silenced ghost here. I agree. It's a weird, like you can kind of hear them when they're jumping around nearby you, but I think it would add to the fear to hear them, breathing down your neck, getting closer, especially late game when there's so many ghosts and there's so few players and the circle's closing in and they're all coming in. It's like now, yeah, like you said, all of a sudden you turn around and there's one that's like 2 meters away. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and the other thing is, they're not easy to kill close up. You really have to kind of cater a loadout, which we should probably talk about, to killing these ghosts. Because if you like me are not a good shot and you get very distraught easily. Like if I'm wielding an AR, like a long range AR, and one of these ghosts just pops up in front of me, there's no way in hell I'm going to kill it. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to shoot over there. I'm going to shoot over there. I'm like going to blow my load, not hit the ghost at all, and then I'm going to die. Like you either have to be using like a shotgun, you have to be using like what we were seeing people use like the sticks, the katana sticks or whatever, the
Cali sticks.
The Cali sticks as well. Like just something to beat them down quickly because they get on you and it's hard to kind of kill them. It's kind of the name of the game is keep them away from you,
Yeah, which I think that's interesting. Like, I like that you had to cater it. Although one thing I quickly realized was we were talking about thermal scopes and, they might be best for this dark environment, which there was definitely a visibility issue going on major, especially seeing players. But I realized, like, I don't think the Black Ops gun have any sort of thermal scope. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I very well could be, and I'm sure our Discord or Twitter users will let me know.
Well, wait a second. The FARA is a Cold War gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was using a thermal scope on the FARA while we were streaming.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's one. I think there is only one, and it's towards the bottom of the list. And it's a giant scope. It's bizarre. It's got to be like 6 inches high in reality. It's kind of a bizarre little scope.
I remember you speaking about that, but that was really it for the Ghosts of Verdansk. Nice change of pace, but unfortunately not something I think that's going to drive people back to the game that have stepped away, or really make the people out there happy. One thing that might, though, would have been, which they released for this week's playlist, is they've added As the duos configuration, it is Iron Trials duos, which it suits it really well. We had some fun, made it pretty late circle playing this weekend in that. What are your thoughts on the Iron Trials after revisiting that a little bit down the line now?
I like it a lot. What throws me off every time we play Iron Trials is when you get in the gulag, the health, it takes, the TTK is so much higher for everybody. So I always think like, if I get the first shot off on somebody in the gulag, I'm gonna win that battle. I've had this where I pull off the trigger after a couple seconds, like, oh, that guy's dead, and then I'll take it off, and then he's still shooting me, and then I die. So this whole like TTK is longer thing is really hard for me to get used to. But we've been having some good games with it. Again, I love the car. I love to snipe, and in Iron Trials, a headshot with a car past, I think it's like 40 meters. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's at any kind of distance with the car, headshot isn't an instant down anymore. It'll break them and take a little bit of their life down, but it's not a instant down headshot situation. So that changes my gameplay dramatically. Having to go back to the ARs, also we're not getting multiple loadouts in those sessions if we can stay alive for long enough just to get a loadout. So it again, I like this, how it's no longer just like one answer for everything. No, there's many choices you have to make depending on the game mode you're playing. My Rebirth loadouts right now are not my Ghosts of Verdansk loadouts and are not my Iron Trial loadouts. And it's fun to mix it up like that. What are your thoughts about it? Not actually, but before I do want to get back to that, I have one more thing about the haunting I want to talk about after you go for the Iron Trials thing here.
Well, my thoughts are, I like what you had to say. I agree with that they've kind of offered now currently several different experiences depending on what you're looking for. I'm definitely a big fan of the Iron Trials, although I think the TTK might be a little bit like too slow, maybe speed it up a little, but again, that's just me, because it really does feel like, I guess for an amateur like me, I can only kind of one-on-one, and when you lose your teammate, especially in duos, like I feel like you're very much almost doomed in Iron Trials because those TTKs are so heavy. Like, what are my odds I'm going to take out a team of two with this? Pretty minor, but again, I guess maybe that's part of the design for it. And to touch on what you said about the sniper distance, they actually adjusted that. So in the current iteration of Iron Trials, sniper headshot down distance was increased up to 40 meters. I think it had previously been 30 or something like that. And they said headshot damage beyond 50 meters, the damage has been increased from 300 to 325. I don't know what the TTK is in terms of what damage you have to hit to get that down. But the only instant downs on the headshots are within 40 meters now.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I really like the game mode. I think it's great. Again, I don't know. I wish that you could still headshot down people. And that's a great point that I didn't think about. If you are alone in that game mode and your partner's dead, how do you expect to take out a team of two with that TTK? I don't think it's relative, even though it takes longer for you to die. It's like, you throw a nade in there or like you stun. It seems very, very difficult to bounce back after that. But it does only still cost $4,000 to buy your teammate back, even though other prices have been inflated in that game mode, which we found out.
Yes, we did. UAV 6,000, loadouts, I think, 15,000. But yeah, buyback still 4,000. Now, you said you had some final thoughts on the haunting. What were those?
Well, one thing we didn't really talk about there was the there's the checklist of things you can do in the haunting, and then if you do all of them, you're rewarded with the unlock of this new weapon that is has a little buzz around it for being one of the metas here, and that's the Lapa.
Yes, that's correct, and that kind of brings me to our next topic, which was this new update they released which adjusted Iron Trials, which made some tweaks to the existing haunting, that fear meter we recently mentioned. They've been tweaking with that because, as we said, it's not really functioning, I think, as it was intended. Kind of going haywire. But yeah, the big addition with this update was the Lapa, which can be unlocked as part of the haunting event. Now, the early results, reviews, I should say, of the Lapa SMG were very positive, though. I think since that's kind of settled down, I've heard it's competitive, it's viable, but they wouldn't say it's, meta.
Yes. Some people that have played with it, some people, friends of the pod, have said it slaps and they love it. So I think it's, again, I don't know if there is a clear meta right now. I think this is just in that conversation up there towards the top, you know?
I think that's fair, but I guess this brings us to our next note here on the agenda, which is I had been running strong as my short range, as my secondary, the Modern Warfare MP5, though I've been really digging the ground loot MP5 as well. But this week made a big change. I hopped onto the PPSH train, and I gotta say, I don't know if there was like some stealth nerf or buffs to it or nerfs otherwise, relatively speaking, but the PPSH is my new. I love playing with this gun. It feels great. It melts people. It's got the 71 round magazine that you can get pretty early on while leveling it. And since it is a ground loot weapon, you probably have yours leveled a fair amount already. So I've been loving the PPSH. I think you were even trying it out. How you feeling about the PP?
Yes, I actually had been trying it out weeks ago, way ahead of the curve. Glad to see you hop on the old PP train. I have been enjoying it as well. I feel like it has grown on me quite a bit. You know, I love a big mag. 71 rounds really helps in Rebirth when you're running in there trying to wipe teams, probably getting killed yourself, but you at least have enough ammunition to try. It does seem to slap at range. And the ground loot, because it's a prominent ground loot weapon, you'll find that your gun probably, if you play consistently, it's probably already in the 30s or something, 20 or 30s in the leveling process, which, is only a few levels away from getting it to where you want it to be. I have found some also incredible ground loot gold PPs. Is it gold or orange? I'm pretty sure it's a gold. It's gold. Did we go over this once?
Well, they've introduced new weapons cards, and I feel like there's new colors that have been introduced. Like I'm seeing, like orange and maybe gold. I'm not sure. Haven't really been paying a ton of attention there.
Maybe it's an orange. It's probably the orange. But I found some orange PPs on the ground, and they're incredible. Where I don't even need to pick up an SMG from my loadout. I'll grab the car, pair that with a PP, and I'm good to go. This thing, yeah, it's good short range. And it also has a little bit of length to it. It's not as solid as my short range AK build, but this one obviously covers more of that, like closer damage, closer battles, and it's got great hip fire. I think that's something too we should talk about. The PP has great hip fire, which I really like.
Well, just like all Cold War weapons, you can really get that movement speed, that agility up. That's what I like about it. As you touched on, the range, surprisingly strong, especially when you have that GRU suppressor and the task force barrel on there. You can take people out, I mean, at a good 50, 70 meters with an SMG. So I'm loving that. I'm pairing that with my C58 now. Are you playing with your PP, or what's your loadout here lately of choice? Let's bring us up to speed here on where you're at.
Yeah, I have been playing with my PP more regularly. I have it in several of my loadouts. I have a more long range PP, I think, and a shorter range PP, but I haven't fully built out the PP, so it's not as big as it could be. But so right now, my go-to on Verdansk is I got the car still. I love the car, and I have my PP, which I think is at like level 36 right now. So it's not as mature as it should be, but it's about to be. So I'm running the PP in the car. That's basically what I got for my for my Rebirth loadout at the moment. But as we had talked about, I now am going to be running, probably in my Ghost session this week, the Ghost of Verdansk. I'll probably run a Farah or a C58 with the PP, and that'll probably be my it's really hard to snipe on Ghost of Verdansk, by the way, if we didn't point that out yet, because it's so dark. It's a little tricky to snipe. And it's tough to be looking down that sniper scope constantly if you're worried about a ghost attacking you from behind. So I think I'm gonna also attach the PP into my my Iron Trials loadouts here, and probably run the same thing I would in Iron Trials as I would as Zombies. Probably a PP and a C58 or a PP and a Farah. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, PP across all game modes right now.
All right, I'm in there with you too. That's my loadout of choice. No matter where I'm dropping, I feel like I have the balance with the C58 for the long to mid range, and then the PPSH picks up right where that leaves off, takes me up to toe 0 meters. As you said, hip firing, not a problem there. For Iron Trials, you need the extra TTK, you need the extra damage output. Well, they got the 71 rounds in that thing, so Strong recommendations here from the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, but you mentioned ghosts, and we need to talk about that. And I'm not talking about the ghosts of Verdansk. I'm talking about the ghost perk, because it was discovered this week, which was very unfortunate to see, is that the ghost perk, it was previously broken when you would play custom matches. These streamers had discovered it during tournaments. There were these moments of big controversy, acting like somebody was getting maybe an unfair advantage, and then people realized, no, the ghost perk is just, for whatever reason, broken in private lobbies, to where if someone had a heartbeat sensor or UAV, people would temporarily show up at times on the radar when they shouldn't, and they had ghost. And unfortunately, this week it was revealed that glitch in the matrix, so to speak, is existing in regular Warzone, in competitive, public lobbies. So if you were running the ghost perk, you were at a disadvantage. You weren't quite getting what you were paying for there. The good news is that it's on the radar of Raven. I saw they tweeted out. It's now on their little Trello board. They're actively working for a fix. May even have one as of the time you're listening to this podcast. But that kind of prompted me to segue here into pulling my ghost perk as my second loadout of choice, going with that as the main benefit of getting that second loadout. I've now pivoted over to tempered, and I got to say, I'm a fan of that. I mean, I've always loved ghost, and I'm not sure though, once ghost is fixed, if I'll go back, because it is a huge luxury just having those 2 plate slots. I think you've been doing the same. Is that right, Cowboy?
Yeah, again, I've been doing that for a little over a week now. Glad that you're starting to try it as well, and act like you're not, like you don't know where you learned that from. But yes, I have been doing that as well. I ditched Ghost, went to Tempered a little while back, and it just makes sense on Rebirth to do that. Ghost, it's not as important on Rebirth as it is in, obviously, on Verdansk if you're playing a big boy map. In the 2 plate situation, I spend probably half of my time on Rebirth loading up on armor, because you're constantly in gunfights, you're constantly burning through it. Having the 2 plates is incredible. So yes, I am on the exact same tip. Glad that you've followed me down this route. Don't forget it.
Wow, taking credit. Although I'm sure when it talks, we go back and listen to who really introduced the tempered perk. I know it was me, but that's fine. You tried it out. I saw you actually been rocking it as like your first loadout, not even second in a lot of instances here. You've just been going with like a ground loot secondary, is that right? And just getting your Car 98 as your with tempered.
Yeah, if I can get to my tempered perk earlier, I think it's just, it over time is going to keep you alive, because you're throwing in that extra plate. Because if I go in and I push a team and I pick off one of the guys, right? And I know I can't get the next one because I need to replate, reload, do that whole thing. I'll like go around a corner and I'm plating, that extra like 2 or 3 seconds of throwing that, I don't know how long it is per plate, an extra second or two. Like that's just enough time for one of those motherfuckers to turn the corner and find you. And that happens all the time. It's not like an end of gameplay thing. It happens all the time from the beginning to the end of a match. So I'm trying to get that as soon as I can. If I can get an SMG that I know I can shred people's asses with, I'm going to pick that up immediately and then just go tempered and then probably grab my car. And then that way I'm going car, ground loot SMG, tempered, home wrecking. Boom.
I absolutely agree with you in terms of it really, the benefit, like it adds up. And to me, because I'm not quite as cowardly of a player as you, which I've certainly seen again watching the stream from this week.
Oh my gosh, you are.
For me, it's like I want to get back in the fight quicker. It's not like, more time I'm vulnerable hiding in the fucking corner.
Oh my gosh. No. Let me just paint a picture here. Every time I push a team, you wait for me to get downed, wait for them to come throttle me while I'm down, and then as soon as they're shooting me, then you pick them off. That's how you get your kills. You leave me to die so often, it's out of control. The cowardly, I'm the cowboy, not the coward, okay? You are the mechanical coward yourself. You never help me.
Well, we'll have to leave that to the old Warzone Amateur Hour community. Those of you who took part in the stream, who watched the stream, we're curious to hear your feedback on what you're thinking there. But before we get into a review of last week's stream, a final bit which kind of updated on a question you had last week, which was, when is the Pacific coming? When is the Warzone Vanguard integration occurring? When can we have a glimpse at the future? Get the fuck off of Verdansk. And a leak this week, which we've seen so far in reporting this Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, I have to say, is a lot of these leaks, I'd say like the vast majority end up coming true. This is from a pretty, quote unquote, trusted leak account on Twitter. And they said that according to what they discovered in some code or whatever, is that the Vanguard integration date is December 7th, which, as we've touched on, could line up like maybe be the week of our 1-year anniversary of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, buddy.
It's incredible. I hope it happens. The crystal ball is starting to get a little clearer, and it's looking like it could line up. It'd be pretty incredible if it happened. Yeah, it's really exciting. And then again, so is there any more updated information? The integration date, you said, is December 7th.
Rumored.
Rumored. Okay. Then yes, the rumor doesn't even... Why even speculate? If it's a rumor, it's a rumor. And then when the map becomes available for Warzone, whatever,
that would be the date. That would be the date we hop to the Pacific. We get the full integration. We hopefully get a big chunk of the community coming back, checking out the game, seeing how it is. I'm sure they're going to adjust the TTK perhaps significantly. We're going to a new engine. We could potentially be dealing with an FOV slider on console. I mean, this is tectonic in terms of that date, what it could signify.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. The game, I feel like, has been... Funner's not a word. It's been more fun to play the game, I feel like, in the last couple of weeks. I've been enjoying Rebirth. The Ghosts of Verdansk has been a breath of fresh air. Iron Trials Duos is great for you and I. So I'm not upset with the state of the game right now. I'm ready for something new, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm still playing it, having a great time. There are a shit ton of cheaters, though. I'm sure everybody that has played and is not a total amateur, not to recognize a cheater when they see one, but there are certainly a lot of cheaters in the game right now. That's another big part of this integration that we have to be excited about and hoping for a fix, is that the cheating level comes down dramatically, which I know that they're announcing, and we talked about the name that they released and all of that stuff, which means absolutely nothing to me. Just get the cheaters out of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've been running rampant, and unfortunately, now that the Scream operator is live to legit players and cheaters alike, it's not as easy to distinguish them. It's been rampant, but that said, let's just tee back off of what you were saying about, there's a variety of playlists. You're having fun. I think that really culminated this week on our live stream, which you led. We were streaming from the Cowboys' perspective. I'm just going to get it off the table here for those that missed it. In the second game, we got a victory in the Trios Rebirth playlist that's out this week. And not only was it a victory, but your boy Tron dropped 11 kills. Our partner and friend of the podcast, Smeeden, had 12. Cowboy chipped in with 4. It was a pretty, look at us type of game, I'm saying.
Chipped in with 4? Chipped in with 4. I don't want to... That was a good game. You played a good game. Yeah, you had quite a bit of kills. I won't go, into how many you stole from me and waited for them to throttle me so then you could finish them. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna res you. Wait, hang on. Oh, you're dead. Okay, let me get in there. Like, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But it was a team effort. We're all getting double-digit kills here and there, and I'm really happy about it. We did good, and again, it's like, how many wins did we have that stream? We always seem to start super well, and then it just slowly fades off throughout the stream, and we can't get another victory.
Well, that win, I think it was the same one. The game came down to a 2-on-2 situation, so each trio team remaining was missing a player, but the difference maker was Smeeden with the quick thinking, saying, "Cowboy, give me your money." He took your money in the final circle, ran into the gas with the gas mask, bought Tron back just as the circle was closing. The game then escalated to you getting, I think, that second to last kill, and then in the chaos of it all, I dropped in on the final guy, murked his ass. We got the win. I think we got 2 wins, if I remember, this time around on Rebirth. And then we got a second or third place on the Ghosts of Verdansk. And I don't know. Yeah, we didn't get too far on Iron Trials, but we certainly, the gameplay level was high. You ended up, making some pretty big changes in terms of improving your situation, where you turned to the square minimap finally and turned off motion blur.
I didn't even notice the motion blur. Everyone's like calling me crazy. I didn't even notice that the motion blur was on. Again, this is amateur hour over here. So yeah, maybe I'm an idiot and an amateur, but I didn't notice it was on. Yes, I did switch to the square, which I guess gives you 33% more vision, which I guess helps. So yes, thank you for those comments. I mean, please, if people see that stuff, let me know. I'm down. I'm not attached to anything over here. I'm trying to optimize my chances of winning and helping my teammates first and foremost, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Wow.
So that's where I'm at, but I don't know about you.
Yeah. I play for the team as well, but sometimes there's a risk reward, and we're no good to each other if we're both dead. So sometimes, somebody's on the ground, they'll be rezzed in due time, all right?
Wow. I have a question for you, actually, which I'm not sure if you and I were playing together. Maybe we were, and if we were, you'll know the situation in which I'm asking about. We got paired with a random on the Rebirth Island, and I noticed early on when we got our loadout, he had the Lappa fully leveled. It had like a diamond encrusted skin on it. It was like, oh, that came out like yesterday. Wow, you've leveled that up really fast. And he's like, no. I just am hacking. I paid a couple of bucks and I unlocked everything in the game. So like this guy's got access to like every gun, like fully leveled, all the attachments, whatever. He like self-owned it. He's like, yeah, I'm totally hacking. And I was like, the first thing I asked was, I'm like, are you cheating as well? And he's like, no. I'm not cheating. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I just unlocked everything, so I have all this stuff. And I was like, okay. But in my mind, I was having this, cowboy debate where on one side of the farm, on the ranch, excuse me, I mean, technically, it's not like he's using aim assist. He's not cheating. But then on the other side of the fence, he is unfairly getting the weapons that are greater than mine. And I'm putting in the blood, sweat, and many tears to, level up my weapons. I want to ask you, where do you fall in this? Is he cheating in your eyes? Is that hacking, cheating? Is it bullshit?
Well, first off, I was not in that game. I didn't have this conversation. That's pretty wild. I had heard such a thing exists. I thought in teeing up this topic, they were just going to say, no, I paid, because you can pay, I think, to purchase those blueprints maybe, or maybe there's services. I don't know exactly the mechanics of it all, but in my opinion, if you're, working outside the channels of the game to gain an advantage, to me, that seems unfair. That seems cheating. It seems somewhat cowardly. In this case, it's not nearly as cowardly as like actual, gameplay hacks and cheating there. But at the same time, like, I can, I guess, understand this a little more. Like, they don't have the time to fucking grind out these guns. And if you don't have them, you're at a disadvantage. But at the same time, I certainly don't condone it. I think it's, again, cowardly. Like, if you really like a gun, run that gun. And if you're fucking halfway decent, you're going to have it leveled up to a pretty good state in at least a few games. And then you're going to have it leveled to the meta after like a day or two of playing with it, especially when you're on like something like Rebirth. Or if you want to go farm shit on Plunder, it takes you even faster. That's where I stand. Where do you stand, I think, is the real question, because I sense some conflict within you.
Yeah, I am a bit conflicted because, and I kind of think I guess would fall where you're at. The guy, it's not near, there's a sliding scale here, right? It's not ones and zeros. I think that the dudes that we played with that were just like openly hacking and cheating using aim assist, like, that's ruining the entire map for everybody. That's ruining the game. That's wasting your time at the end of the game if someone comes in and just like snipes you out of the air while you're free falling from across the map. It's like not cool at all. This, you can still kill this guy. Like, this guy died a bunch. He did have, actually, I should, wow, now that I'm recalling what happened, he did have 19 kills on a Rebirth game.
Jesus.
And yeah, he like at the end of the game, we won the game. At the end of the game, we saw it, and I was like, holy shit, dude, you had 19 kills. And he's like, yeah. And then the first thing I'm like, dude, are you seriously not hacking? Like, that's insane. That's a lot of kills. And he's like, no, I'm not hacking. I swear I'm not hacking. This guy might have been hacking. And I think that's also another layer and issue to this. This kind of like, if this is what it is, like you can pay like some third party and it unlocks the game for you so you have access to everything. It's like a gateway drug into cheating and hacking. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's like the guy that offered that, probably is like, oh yeah, maybe, if you want a little aim assist, it's only a couple extra dollars. Hey, I could throw this in for just a couple of, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's a very slippery slope. And what happens is I could totally see it. It's like, you buy this and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, listen, it's not like horrible aim assist. It helps you like 40%. It only costs $2. And you're like, well, okay, maybe I'll try that just to see what it's like. 3 months later, you haven't left the computer. You've spent $400 on hacking equipment. You're sitting there just killing everybody with one click of a shell. Like you've lost your soul. You've given it all away. See, I could see that happening here. So I'm a preventative measure kind of guy. Like I'm a cowboy over here. Like I don't, if I don't deal with that shit. Like I get, if the cow is acting up, you get that cow off the farm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want to polish your guns up, you don't go send them off to some city slicker. You go get your tools out of your little wagon and your little cloth and you polish that shit up all night long.
I'm not sure if I'm understanding the metaphor I'm not sure what you just said, but yes, agreed. You got to polish it yourself. And I'm fucking against this guy. Get him out of here. I never want to play with someone like that again. It's fucking bad for the game.
Well, I mean, the first red flag is that he admits that. Most cheaters always deny they're cheating. It's because deep down they're ashamed of themselves because it's shameful, it's embarrassing, it's sad. And secondly, like you touched on, I imagine it is kind of like a gateway drug. Like imagine you pay, whatever it is, $20-$40. I don't even know, maybe it's $100. Fucking hope not for their sake. But then you get all these guns and you hop into Warzone thinking it's like when you're the little kid and you go buy the most expensive sneakers and you go show up at the basketball court thinking it's going to make you any better. And then a little Timmy with the fucking Payless shoes is dunking all over your ass. You feel like a fucking idiot. And you're like, I need to go buy steroids now if I'm going to match this guy.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like, I need to go get hacked so I can now feel cool and get these 19 kills with my fucking diamond encrusted Lapa. So I don't trust that guy. I've now become firmer against this. Fuck all these cheating.
Yeah, thank you. And I as we're talking about this too, what I'm realizing is it is discouraging for amateur players if you're playing against people that have everything unlocked and are better than you. Like, one thing is we want a more level playing field. It's insane how good some people are at this game. This is not helping that divide. It's furthering the middle class from the upper class of game players here. And we need encouragement for all classes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need a level playing field here, like you said. So here's to hoping this Ricochet anti-cheat that's coming potentially on December 7th, if the leaks are true, which is only, 6 or so weeks off from the date of this recording, coming soon. Here's to hoping that's going to change. The weapon balancing, great in the game. I wish they were giving us more Rebirth playlists other than this scatter guns and snipers, which we're not even going to talk about because it's just stupid. But Iron Trials is a great breath of fresh air. They're pushing the envelope. Hopefully when that envelope's opened, when the time comes, we can get this community back thriving again, because I know we're here holding it strong. Our Amateur Hour community's still out there supporting us strong, but that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah. That's a pretty good show, I feel like. We covered a lot here.
Yes, we did, and that is going to do it for us this week on the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Thanks so much for dropping in with us. Thank you all so much who watched live on our live stream on YouTube, those who rewatched, those who commented. We love the support. We love interacting with you. It makes playing the game that much more fun. That said, please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the bell on our YouTube, follow us wherever you get your podcasts, leave us a review. Get ready for the custom game that's going to be coming down the line. That could potentially be our 1-year anniversary custom game with the community. Could be on the Pacific if things are aligning like we think they might.
Let's pray. Let's pray to the Warzone gods themselves that this will align for us. It'd be big. It would be big.
Well, we will do so, and we will talk to you all next week. And until then,
Good luck in the gulag.